And sorry, there is no power. Uh, I think power they are restoring, no? Power, yeah, Chairman Chappan. And I think this is the last session we are having. Since past 2 to 3 days, we are having sessions, and yesterday you had field visit. I think that also uh, incited you about this non-timber forest produce and medicinal plants. They have visited this NMPB State Medicinal Plants Board garden, and very good that is. Uh, they had sessions on from various yeah, resource persons. I think just now they had a lecture session from CMAP, GCC, and State Medicinal Plant Board also. State Medicinal Plant Board and some other professor from Kakatiya University and taxonomy. I think they have covered all the sessions, and I will have a brief session because most of the things they have covered all the things, and uh, now you are aware. You know about what is non-timber forest produce, and these include many things. Whatever comes except timber, all other produce coming from forest. Next, coming from forest that constitute non-timber forest produce, whether it is food, medicine, fiber, or and its use may be many, not only food and medicine. Everywhere with this use of these non-timber forest produce will be there as a decoration items, like orchids you put in your house for decoration items, and many fungi, microorganisms, uh, from whether plants or from animal sources also, and like honey and lac, they also constitute forest, non-timber forest produce only, which is coming from forest areas. Their source may be different. It may be plant source or animal source, or maybe some microorganisms also may produce. All these constitute non-timber forest produce, and we have they have recognized, government of India also recognized, international level also its importance has been recognized, and many tribals especially, the tribals are depending, and it is the main source. The non-timber forest produce are the main source for their livelihood, especially in Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, Orissa, uh, even in Andhra Pradesh, wherever tribals are living in northeastern states, and they depend chiefly on this non-timber forest produce only for their food, or for curing their ailments, because many health facilities are lacking in tribal areas. They depend on this traditional medicines, medicine sources, which they collect from the forest itself, and they have very good knowledge about this traditional medicines. These local healers, Vaidyas, since immemorial, they are treating for many diseases by collecting these plant-based or non-timber-based forest produce. And not only that, and forest is the major main food source for them also. The tribals, they collect leaves, tubers, fruits, berries, honey, many food items they get from forest only. I worked in Andamans, Arunachal Pradesh. They don't have any ration system or any other system. Their 100% food requirements is fulfilled from forest only. Especially I worked in Nicobar Islands. Their primitive tribes like Shompens they live. They don't have rice, cultivate rice or wheat or anything. Whatever is available in the forest, they only they eat. They eat this pandanus fruits. They collect fish. They collect tubers, leaves. They collect honey, and they store honey also under the ground. And whenever they want, they consume it. Like that to the tribals. Like in Arunachal Pradesh also, the agriculture is very less, but they collect wild banana, many tubers, many fruits, many vegetables. They collect from forest area, leafy vegetables, and they make their own food from, and they hunt animals and they eat. And their food requirements are fulfilled from this non-timber forest produce, uh, from the forest itself, because they that's why this non-timber forest produce. And forest means only timber, it is not like that. And timber is one component, but there are many other, um, many more times this this non-timber forest produce people are getting. But we have not valuated only this timber what they sell, forest department sell, that comes into GDP. But this non-timber forest produce, it is consumed locally, that's why it will not come into GDP. It is not evaluated, and this potential has not been evaluated, and not no valuation has been done, no study has been done. And this non-timber forest produce collection is the main source of livelihood in many tribal areas, especially in Telangana, also Madhya Pradesh. This BD collection, that is the important commercial activity for these tribals, and honey collection and tamarind collection, amla collection, and they forest department also auction it to and to the tribals. And this mawa flower collection in tribal areas, mawa flower collection is important source of their livelihood. They collect this mawa flower, and they make country liquor from mawa flower, and they sell it to, they consume and they also sell in the local market. And that's why these are unorganized market, mainly this non-timber forest produce collection and sale and value addition and marketing. This is done not through organized market system, and their prices also not to standard. This NTFP prices, they are not standard because their value is not done. It depends on the buyer itself, and paying capacity of the buyer. If the buyer offer more price, the collector will get the price. If the buyer offer less price, the whatever they get, they will take it. And ultimately, what is causing? And this because the collector also, they don't know, whatever they get, that they are happy with that, but they may get very less amount, they may get in hundreds, but its value may be in crores in some international market. Some manufacturing company or some pharmaceutical company, they may be making a very value added product after processing, and they may get to many more times remuneration. Not only that, this NTFP market, it is not standard. The collectors and those retailers, they don't directly sell to the final end users or final this manufacturers. There are a lot of middlemen who are involved in this trade and this sale and marketing of this non-timber forest produce. And that is the reason these tribals or local people, they are not getting good remuneration, and they get very less amount, and they want to try to get more and more money to fulfill their livelihood required. They also have to sustain. For that reason, what they will do, they try to extract as much as possible from the forest area, because they have to get more money, and they have to. But the buyers, they offer only very little price or less price, and if they want to get more money, what they will do, they will try to extract, they try to harvest non-timber forest produce as much as possible, and depending on the demand. And demand supply is also not quantified properly. How much demand is there for this non-timber forest produce is also not quantified, because sometimes there will be lot of demand will be there, sometimes there is no demand at all. it and this market is manipulated, non-timber forest produce, because there is no organized, and there is market or organized supply chain is also not there. And these buyers, those who middlemen, the agents, and those who, they collect from this tribals, and they collect at very less prices, and where they supply also it is not known. Sometimes it will go to into local pharmaceutical companies or local ayurvedic pharmaceutical companies or somewhere, and local manufacturers, local phytochemical uh, industries, or sometimes it will go to international market. But this supply chain is not, also not properly organized, and that is the reason, since many years, these tribals were not benefited. At the same time, this non-timber forest produce species also becoming extinct. They are becoming rare, endangered, and they are becoming extinct. But India has a very good tradition of this traditional medicine, medical systems. Like India, we have oldest system of medicine, this Ayurvedic system. Not only that, Unani system is there in, and naturopathy also is being practiced, and yoga, yoga and the Siddha systems of medicine is also being practiced in India, and all these traditional systems, even homeopathy also, all these traditional systems they use only natural medicines, natural plant based or forest based um, medicines they use, but their market is also not regulated properly, and that is the reason since many years it was not recognized. Next. And international level also there was not only in India, in other countries also, wherever tribals are there, India is harboring second largest number of tribal population after Brazil or other Latin American countries and African countries also. Tribals, they mainly depend on forest resources, especially this non-timber forest produce, and and this international trade also going on without any co- control or regulation, and there was a need was felt by the international level as well as at the national level for regulating the international trade of this traditional medicines, especially non-timber forest produce. And there was a IUCN was established, International Union for Conservation of Nature, in 1948, and they have recognized and they have started publishing red data list in 1964, because many species have already become extinct and many are threatened, and many species are at the verge of extinction. Many have become rare and endangered, and their survival and existence also become very difficult. And many are restricted to specific geographical location, like red sanders. It occurs in only Kadapa, Kurnool districts, and many other species. Their survival is also difficult. Many in India is a mega biodiversity region, harboring many tree species, many varieties of plant species, and that's why UNESCO also recognized our northeastern states as the biodiversity hotspots, nature conservation reserves, UNESCO nature heritage sites. Even Western Ghats in India, they are also very rich in biodiversity and recognized by UNESCO as the biodiversity heritage sites. Like that, they are harboring many endemic, indigenous, rare, endangered species that occur in that locality only. And we have to protect those species because they are important for this traditional medicines and other non-timber forest produce they are getting, not only tribals or other um, local dependents they get. And with that reason only, this IUCN also, they have every year they are publishing next. And IUCN headquarters is in Switzerland, and they conduct to every 4 years one meeting at this IUCN conference. And India also IUCN site office is there, and they next, and they publish 9 types of categories of lists. One extinct species, extinct in the wild, and critically endangered species, endangered, vulnerable species list, near threatened species list, least concerned species list. Data, some data is missing. Even northeast and other states, even this data is not available. Many species are there, local endemic species are there, but still they are not identified, not documented. Data is insufficient about this species, and we have to identify and conserve it, and whatever data is there it is regulated as per red list. They are prohibited from the international trade, and India also MOEF, Ministry of Environment Forest, they regulate these they have to take permission from country office. Next, and not only that, in under the IUCN, and many countries came forward and they have made an agreement under Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species. Almost 183 countries they have signed this CITES agreement for regulating the trade of endangered plant species and animal species. Under that, India is also a signatory, and we have signed, and we whenever we import, we need to this importing country also take permission, and other the exporting country also need to take permission from the clearing house. International level, it is being regulated, and this site is also they publish three types of lists. And next, this they have the appendix 1 2 3. Appendix 1 species are highly endangered species and they can't be traded. Appendix 2 species somewhat they have concern, and their trade is also regulated. And CITES 3 species, after taking permission, they need to they can trade these species. This is the CITES list. And coming to the India also, we have established Ayush Ministry. Next, Ayush Ministry. Under Ayush Ministry, this National Medicinal Plants Board was set up, and this National Medicinal Plants Boards also, they are also working in the field of conservation of medicinal plants and non-timber species, and they are also promoting research and development activities, and information and communication and training also they are providing. And they under national medicinal plant boards, herbal gardens are being established, and also marketing and trade also they are regulating national plants boards, and international level also they are cooperating. Next,
endangered species
uh,
in India and other countries also there.
yeah, every countries they publish the IUCN red list.
That report, this.
Yeah, this is an example. Appendix 1 all over the world, for not only in India.
31 species are endangered.
Yeah, oh, there are many species. Examples, some of them, those are rare endangered species, not all species. They are the completely at the verge of extinction, almost at the danger of extinction. Almost 931 species, they are about to extinct. They are very rare and very endangered, very rarely found. Almost they have becoming extinct. Such species are there very less, and they have listed some of the species, and their trade is completely banned. The such species 931 list, and that is not acceptable. That whether legally or illegally they can't transfer such species. They are about to extinct. That's like prohibited there almost. Appendix 1 species trade is prohibited almost. Okay, next. And this medicinal plant board also, they are helping in conservation of this the medicinal plants, not and other plant species for which are used in Ayush medical preparations. They are generally they fund for this conservation of these species, in situ conservation, natural level, and they are conserving even for they are funding for JFMCs, Joint Management Forest Committees, Biodiversity Management Committees, and Vana Panchayats also they fund. And in our research institute, like our research institute, they fund whenever we submit any project proposal. They are funding for in situ conservation means it is conserved within the native in its native habitat, that is the forest. And ex situ conservation means we can conserve outside. We can bring the germplasm like seed and seance clones, and we can artificially and controlled manner we can propagate in arboretum or other in nurseries. We can propagate.
Plantations
That is plantation. That is ex situ conservation they call.
28 of plantations are identified.
Okay, earlier we also
Here by Rangareddy district.
Rangareddy district, plantation NMPB funding funded project.
28 plantations
And state medicinal plant boards also, they also get funding from national medicinal plant board, and they are also funding farmers, NGOs, and research institutes, some government organizations, some municipalities, even some school college also they got for garden. If they want to establish medicinal plant garden, they will fund it, and they can apply for ex situ conservation of these medicinal plants. Yeah. Next. And this is about in situ conservation. In situ conservation generally in national parks, sanctuaries, biosphere reserves, where in its native place, natural condition, they can be protected. And for that also, this it is funded, especially national this in situ conservation, forest department they can do it, but ex situ conservation others can do it. Next, ex situ conservation. Uh, it will be done by any other people outside the forest area, or it's a natural habitat. Next, and they are funding in this national medicinal plants board various activities, research and development activities. They are funding for bioprospecting, because many medicinal properties of plants are not known. Those who do on research on traditional medical systems, or for bioprospecting of any natural compounds, for their active principles or for healing the effect, and they are funding in many areas. Even for some species, they do not germinate too. They have to be studied properly. Some natural habitat, because of climate change or biotic pressure, their germination fails sometimes, and they have to be some the seed, they are failed to germinate, or we have to propagate through alternate method, by vegetative propagation method, or for by tissue culture method, or other controlled conditions. We can propagate them, otherwise they will become extinct, because already they have been exploited and extracted beyond their potential, and their regeneration potential is also lost in natural condition. Such species have to be propagated, and there is germination treatment, seed germination studies have to be taken up, and their populations also assessed, how much is available in natural conditions. Some species are almost not seen in conditions, even not only non-timber forest, even timber species also, like rosewood in Telangana forest areas, almost rosewood tree we can't nowadays we can't find a rosewood trees, because it has almost they have cut to that extent, and no germination is coming up, not can't find a single tree. Earlier you used to be many trees in forest areas, rosewood trees, but such species are becoming extinct, because they have cut all the trees, and then there is no seed at all for again regeneration and propagation. Wherever few trees are there, that have to be protected, and their seed have to be collected and supplied to nurseries and for and taken up. Otherwise, the rosewood trees almost will become extinct in the natural condition in the coming years. Like that, many small trees, even small medicinal plants, and they grow in particular locality on particular natural conditions. They have to be protected and conserved, and that's why this research and development is also funded by NMPB, and many organizations they are getting funding from NMPB, especially this documentation of traditional medical systems, and even for this Ayurvedic pharmaceuticals standards they are prescribing, and yes, they are also funding for marketing of marketing, um, promotion of marketing of this traditional medicines. Next, and this NMPB they fund for this trainings workshop like this, like you are attending the training. Like they also fund if some organization they wish to conduct some training workshops, and some awareness campaign, or some publication, and some this motivating some this those who depending on medicines, like their cultivators, gatherers, and supply chain intermediaries, traders, local healers, and manufacturers, researchers, exporters, all these people, they have to be properly educated, and some trainings, workshops, those who want to conduct, for them also this NMPB is funding. Next. And herbal gardens also being established, and those who want to home herbal gardens, school herbal gardens, institutional herbal gardens, and state level and national level, national importance species, they can also be funded. And any government organizations, universities, research institutes, aided colleges, schools, and NGOs, PSUs, cooperatives, and societies, housing societies, they can also get funding for generation of establishment of herbal gardens. Next. And marketing also they have established many uh, this license processing they are regulating, and this the NMPB website also, this e-marketplace they have established, and through that people can market this herbal preparations or herbal formulations they can prepare, and for commercialization, and this wild varieties or for any other unknown species, and this NMPB is helping in marketing and trade of this herbal gardens. Otherwise, there is a demand and supply gap, and there is no connection between the manufacturers and the producers or collectors, and the NMPB is the mediator for doing these things. Under NMPB guidance, there's many state governments, they have established their own corporations, tribal federations, tribal cooperative societies, tribal cooperative corporations, like that they are working for the marketing and this controlling the trade, regulating the supply chain, and main important thing is this price is also erratic prices, because it is not guided by demand and supply principle. Generally, the prices have to be regulated by demand and supply principles. In this, demand is also not known, supply is also known. When supply is more, demand will be less, and how much demand will be there, how much has to be harvested, how much supply is there, how much market is there. There is no not clear cut uh, yeah, this demand supply is not known. That's why these corporations, they fix minimum prices for at least for some species, some produce, so that this price can be regulated or controlled, and that in turn will protect the medicinal plant species from over exploitation. Next. And Telangana also, Telangana State Medicinal Plants Board, they are also working under the guidance of the National Medicinal Plant Board, and their objectives and State Medicinal Plant Board objectives also same. State Medicinal Plant Boards works under the guidance of National Medicinal Plant Board, but at the state level, every state has its own peculiar features, because in some states tribals are more dependent on this. In some states, Ayurvedic practitioners are depending on it. In some states, some pharmaceutical companies, they are depending. And for regulating this, state level medicinal plant boards also working, and they are funded from central government as well as state government. And these are the main activities of the this Telangana State Medicinal Plant Board, and assessment of the demand and supply position, advising concerned ministries, departments, organizations of state government undertakings on policy matters, provide guidance in formulation of proposals, schemes, programs to be taken up by agencies having access to land for cultivation infrastructure, identification, inventarization, and quantification of medicinal plants, promotion of ex situ in situ conservation, promoting cooperative efforts along the collectors, growers, and assisting them to store, transport, and market their produce, setting up of the database for inventarization and dissemination, matters relating to import and export of raw material as well as value added products, undertaking and awarding of scientific technological research and development of protocols of cultivation and quality control of medicinal plants, encouraging the protection of patents and IPR, and registering of farmers traders of medicinal plants, All these activities almost similar to NMPB, their activities are also there. They are also helping in conservation of medicinal plants, marketing and research and development, and registering of farmers, especially that is important thing, registered suppliers. Because under Biodiversity Act, this trade is also regulated, prohibited, and that's why they are, this registering of farmers traders is also essential. This job is done by the Medicinal Plants Board. Next. And marketing of this non-timber forest produce, I think this is lack of proper information about the demand and supply, lack of assured markets for the collectors and cultivators, unique characters of medicinal plants and uncertainty. Because this Dab or Patanjali, if we ask to buy, they don't say they don't need, but from where they are getting we don't know. That is a very peculiar situation. They sell many medicines, but raw material they we never see, they never buy from anybody,
Anybody.
and from where they will get, it is not known, and it has to be channelized. That's why these assured markets are not there. This collector, and it is through illegal trade or illegal collection or illegal collection and supply, and they never buy from any organized market.
Any government sectors.
Uh, to government, and this is these are the issues and unique characters of medicinal plants and uncertainty regarding their availability also. Some areas some plants are available, some, and the same plant name they will tell in different states, they will call it with a different name, and it is uncertain which plant is used for which purpose, it is not known. And uh, they will tell the same name for different plants in different areas. And quality issues, and which party has to be collected, which party is not to be collected, and when to be collected, when not to be collected. Because these natural compounds they lose their properties if they are not collected at the proper uh, stage, proper season, or proper maturity, and those things have to be taken into. And stakeholders are not aware of intellectual property rights, because this intellectual property rights issues will be there. Sometimes some research organization or some pharmaceutical organization, they must have developed some product after investing money on R&D, but they are maybe marketing. Others can't use that product. This is the patent issue. If somebody has patented means others can't market it again, and these issues are there. And market barriers for new entrants, and only some Patanjali, Dabur, they are established, and they only marketing some of the products. Other new entrants are not coming into, and they have to be allowed for facilitating good competition, so that they can supply at lesser price the same product. And this pricing of medicines also, it is up to the pharmaceutical companies, whatever they fix, that will be final. But if any other competition is there, same product can be manufactured by other company, then the pricing will be decided by the market, not by the company, manufacturing company. Next. And keeping in this, the central government has formed TRIFED, this Tribal Cooperative Marketing Development Federation, in 87, and under the society Multi-State Societies Act. And this TRIFED can function in all the states, and TRIFED is mandated, and for especially they keeping the view of tribals development. This this TRIFED is formed. Earlier it was in with Ministry of Welfare. Now it is with the Ministry of Tribal Affairs. They are controlling, and they are helping in marketing of these tribal products, not only medicinal plants but other tribal products also. Yeah. Next. They also train for capacity building, and they market tribal products under the name Tribes India brand. They are marketing tribal products also. Not only this uh, medicinal plants and other non-timber forest produce, some other products also they market. Right. Next. Next. These are the main programs. Their retail marketing. Their one of the function is minor forest produce also. They have one done Yojana projects. They have corporate affairs division. They also fund research and development, and they also this market to tribal foods under the Trifed program. Next, under minor forest produce, even under Forest Rights Act, because in 2006, scheduled tribes and other traditional forest dwellers recognition of Forest Rights Act is came 2006. Under that, up to 5 hectares is given. Um, this rights, forest rights are given. Those who stay for 75 years or three generations who are staying in the forest, these tribals they are given. Their rights are recognized, and land rights are given up to 5 hectares for each family, and their rights are recognized. Under that act also, they can have the right of ownership, access to collect, to use and dispose minor forest produce, which has been traditionally collected within or outside the village boundaries. And they have every right to collect forest produce from forest areas under the Tribal Rights Act also, Forest Rights Act also. Even some national parks, sanctuaries, under Wildlife Protection Act, it is prohibited, but under Forest Rights Act, it is permitted to only tribals. Yeah. Next, and they are funding the government of Ministry of Tribal Affairs. They are funding to states and other tribal agencies, um, and ministry, and they are funding to state governments also, and they tried itself procuring these tribal products and marketing. Next, and some of the state government level also, tribal cooperative corporations are working in Orissa also. It is working for uh, improving the status of, because Orissa is also a tribal state, and they are fixing the minimum fixed supporting prices they are giving. Next, and then in Telangana, Andhra Pradesh also, Girijan Cooperative Corporation is working. I think this GCC manager yesterday came, and yes, you are okay, and you are working on it, and you know
Yes, sir. GCC.
GCC. You, I think you are looking after this. Maybe tribal this procurement of tamarind, mawa flower, and beedi leaf, and other naxwamka. Others you are procuring and selling and marketing, and minimum support price also you are giving. You are fixing, but your corporation is under losses. That is the problem. I think. No, not losses, making profits. Okay, and I think Orissa and other state level corporations, they are incurring losses. They could not market their produce properly. They are purchasing and other. You are making profits from your corporation every year. You are how you auction or then how you collect.
Online traders.
Online trade only. You are collecting and you are selling. Okay. And this you give minimum support price or some profits or
We are offering minimum support price, sir. For some services, we are giving more than the minimum.
minimum support price. Okay. Okay. That is good. That is good sign. You can next in other states also similar. They are working. Next. And in Madhya Pradesh also they are marketing with the name Vindhya Herbals. They are marketing name of this herbal products. They collect and selling, and many other products they are marketing, because Madhya Pradesh is also important state. They are with largest number of tribal population. Wherever these tribals are there, they this non-timber forest produce playing an important role. Next. Chhattisgarh also there is a MFP federation is there. They are also this working for the promotion of this marketing of tribal products, various tribal collections, NTFP especially. Next, and Ayush Ministry is there, so they are our major stakeholders, because this. Ayurvedic medical colleges, Unani medical colleges, and Siddha, naturopathy. All these practitioners, they are doing research and development of this natural medicinal plants, non-timber forest produce, especially these medicinal plants. They are working, and they are the ultimate consumers of this uh, natural medicines. Next, and this Biodiversity Act also it prohibits use of biological resources from marketing by the foreign firms. But even in state also, inside the country also, these pharmaceutical companies they are required to take permission from state biodiversity board. Any foreign company, if they want to market, they have to take for the use of biological resources of our country. They have to take permission from National Biodiversity Authority, which is at located at Chennai. And for state within the country, they have to take permission from the concerned state biodiversity board for use of biological resources, whether it is non-timber forest produce or some other biological resource outside the forest or inside the forest, wherever. And they have defined biodiversity and biological resources. And next, but it is there is no restriction for local Ayurvedic healers or local tribals or traditional dependents. They need not take permission from State Biodiversity Board or National Biodiversity Authority. They are permitted under the Biodiversity Act also. And Biodiversity Act provides for other benefit also, access and benefit sharing mechanism. Whenever any biological resource which is used by local tribals or local tribals, if they have indigenous knowledge or some, whether traditionally they are using for curing some ailment, if that biological resource is used for commercialization, if any company wants to make it commercialized, and the profits from that commercialization of that medicinal plant have to be shared with the local tribals or local indigenous vaidyas or local people who is having that traditional knowledge. This is the concept of this access and benefit sharing under the Biodiversity Act. This Biodiversity Act also made after this convention on biodiversity of internet, which was held at international level. Under that, they have made some guidelines. India is a signatory to convention on biological diversity at international level. I think every 2 years or 4 years, CBD meetings are held. In 2011, 2012, conference of parties to CBD was held at Hyderabad also. At that time, our institute was established, this Institute of Forest Biodiversity. And India is a signatory to Conference of Convention on Biological Diversity. Under that, there was a protocol they have made at Nagoya Protocol. Under that, access and benefit sharing mechanism was evolved. Under that, our Biodiversity Act was enacted for sharing benefits arising from the commercialization of biological resources. And there are many examples are there. These biological resources are commercialized, and local people they were given some benefit from the property of uh, from the profits made from the commercialization of those biological resources. Next, under the Biodiversity Act, this NBA was established at Chennai, and state biodiversity boards also established. And at village level, panchayat level, municipality level, Jilla Parishad level also, this biodiversity management committees were established, BMCs. And they are funded by National Biodiversity Authority also. And BMCs, they are working in other all states. And NGT also recently, this Biodiversity Act comes under the provisions of NGT control, not other court. National Green Tribunal, they look after the disputes of this Biodiversity Act. And biodiversity, this NGT also directed the state governments to form the biodiversity management committees. And that is the reason state governments they have formed biodiversity management committees at village level. But the matter will not end at that stage, and they are supposed to prepare this people's biodiversity registers at the not prepared. Okay, our scientists were assisting in some of the BMCs in Andhra Pradesh state. Andhra Pradesh, we have made some biodiversity registers, and physical reports we have submitted. I think Telangana state they are making this digital copies. I think physical copies they have not made, but digital. Uh, uh, okay, same format you are using, and they are making. Okay, biodiversity registers have to be mandatory, and NGT also directed, and biodiversity management committees they receive some funds from NBA after formation, some 2 lakhs or something through state government. But I think state government whether they are not released. Okay, state government themselves using. If they form committee and submit to NBA, they will give funding for each BMC 2 lakhs or something to state government, and state government has to release to BMC. But to state government not releasing. That is a central scheme. No? I think, okay, then. Okay, this is the basic structure of this biodiversity under the Biodiversity Act. This NBA, SBBs, and BMCs have to be formed, and they are responsible for this controlling and regulating this uh, biodiversity utilization. Next exemptions. I think under this traditional uses and traditional collectors, this collectors of medicinal plants or NTFT collectors and bona fide users, tribals, they will not come under the purview of this Biodiversity Act. Only pharmaceutical companies, research organizations, or foreign companies they come under the purview of Biodiversity Act. But pharmaceutical companies also, I think whether they take permission from state biodiversity boards or not, it is not clear. How many are taking, we don't know. And research organizations also, how many are they taking from state biodiversity boards or NBA for conducting research or commercialization of any medicinal plants. um, it is not clear. But if it is commercialized and properly documented, and then the benefits will be given to some local indigenous tribals or in the local traditional knowledge holders like Ayurvedic, Unani practitioners, others. Next. Okay, this is about the NBA structure. They have chairman and other members from other ministries and other thing. Next. NBA functions and any dispute regarding use of biodiversity. And generally, the NBA advises central government, state biodiversity boards, and others. NBA advisory nature, they have generally, and it represents at conference of parties at international level also. They give about our country report will be submitted by NBA about the implementation of this CBD, Convention Protocol. Next. And State Biodiversity Board also, they will also have chairman and members. And next. SBBs, they advise state government and give permissions to commercialization of bioresources at state level. Next. Biodiversity management committees, their main role is to prepare PVRs, and they can document all varieties, whether from natural or for artificial or wild varieties or crop varieties or plant varieties or animal varieties or microorganisms or like fungi or other organisms. All biological resources. Biodiversity includes everything, plants, animals, microorganisms like bacteria, fungi. Everything comes under biodiversity. All have to be documented and kept in biodiversity register (PBR), along with traditional knowledge also. Those traditional knowledge holders names and their activities are also recorded in the PBRs. Next. Next. This is the structure of the BMC. Next. And functions of BMC, PBR preparation. Next. And the PBR, about PBR it is written. I think you can show one PBR to of our trade participants. Yeah, PBR we have prepared and they can access it. Next. Under the Biodiversity Act also, they can declare some biodiversity rich areas as biodiversity heritage sites. Like UNESCO recognizes these natural heritage sites. Under Biodiversity Act also, local level they can declare biodiversity heritage sites, and which is having rich flora, fauna, and other biodiversity, or any peculiar or local endemic species. They can declare as a biodiversity heritage site. Next, and Telangana, there is only one biodiversity heritage site declared under Biodiversity Act. Next, Aminpura, Aminpur. Next, this is the Aminpur Lake. I think the flamingos visit. There are a lot of birds. That was the, I think, Nawab's lake. They have declared it as a biodiversity heritage site under the Biodiversity Act. Uh, and they have a lot of birds and other fishes, reptiles, amphibians, many rich in biodiversity. Next, this Aminpur Lake, and this is basically about the conservation of this non-timber forest produce and the commercialization, marketing, and especially role of NMPB, SMPBs, and role of NBA and state biodiversity boards and other international conventions. This briefly we have covered, and about for uh, conservation and marketing and regulation of non-timber forest produce, especially these medicinal plants. And there, many of you are also working in this field. You are well aware, and this is one of the part of the our training program for uh, making awareness among the stakeholders. And I think when whether this training is useful to you, or because all of you are working in all many departments, uh, you have a lot of experience, some then you can give your feedback, so that to next year we can whether to conduct this kind of training, or we can improve, or whether we can discontinue, or you can suggest, or if anything you want to us to include those topics, you can also suggest, because we are not the masters in all the fields. No, you are specialized in some aspect, he is specialized in some aspect, then we can invite more your officers from your department also, so that the training course will be enriched for next curriculum. And we try to do our best. Our scientists, they are also working in respective fields. They have taken something. Most of our resource persons were called from outside, and we try to justify for this training. And your feedback will be helpful to improve our training program for next year, or in the next whenever we want, or if any other kind of training. If you want us to conduct, we will submit a proposal to MOEF or NMPBR, and if they fund us, we will conduct training to stakeholders. If you want us to include any other stakeholders also, we will include. And this is generally our stakeholders are farmers, this forest department and forest college students. They regularly comes to our institute. We give training to them on forestry matters and various. But this is training for other stakeholders. Like that's why we have not involved forest department people. We have called from other departments, and so that we can exchange information from you, and get information from us, and we can wherever gaps are there, we can fill it. That is the idea of, or not to teach you. And I think this training is served the purpose, or you can suggest for any improvement. Okay. Then I think your lunch is delayed. I think I will conclude, and thank you for your patience and hearing us. And thank you very much. And for coming.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for